Okay, and we're live. Welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. So, my name is Andrew Vong, and today is Thursday, the 25th of March, 2021. So, welcome everyone who's just joined us, who's tuning in. As usual, we're going to look at the number of COVID cases. Today, we have 1,360 new cases, still highest in the state of Selangor. But apparently the number of cases are declining, so that's good news. Okay, so if you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome to tonight's episode of Future Proof, where we're going to be talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. It's going to be hopefully to those who have heard about it but are unsure of what they are. Hopefully tonight I can help explain that, right? Okay, so just doing a mic test. Please let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Just give a thumbs up or say you can hear me loud and clear in the comment section below, please. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, hey, if you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Right. So if you're in YouTube, please click on that bell icon. Choose all so that every time we come on and we go live, you are notified on your mobile device, on your mobile phone. Okay. Obviously, if you're tuning in from Facebook, follow us. If you're tuning in from Twitch, also follow us. All right. And if you know any friends who may be interested in tonight's topic, thank you, Eddie. Thanks for the confirmation that you can hear me loud and clear. If you have any friends who may be interested in the topic that we talk about tonight, which NFTs, feel free to tag them so that they know, they're aware that that you're watching this, so that they too can tune in, right? Obviously, on Future Proof we cover all things to help you future proof yourself, whether it's tech stocks, whether it's crypto. It's something that most people don't think about in their daily lives, but it's something to actually help you sort of envision what the future may look like and what the future may present, so that you can position yourself in the best possible manner, right? Edward Thatched, NFTs. So they stand for non-fungible tokens, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. So thank you for joining us. Okay, so again, feel free to throw in any questions during the presentation, and we I will either get to it immediately, or I will get to it at the end of the of the presentation. And what, feel free to ask any questions, whether or not they're related to NFTs, right? Because it might be a crypto question, it might be what my thoughts and opinions are, but yeah, so just put them in the comment section below. Okay, so last week we had David Schwartz, the project director of the Litecoin Foundation, who came on, and that received some very good feedback. Apparently, it was totally unscripted. We had, we were just having a chat to find out what was the latest, what was happening within, for Litecoin. And like, David's a really genuine person. And, it was very nice of him, because he dialed in at 8 a.m., right? Because there was a 12-hour difference between our time zones. So that was very nice of David. And he has also agreed to come on a more regular basis to give us more updates on what's happening in the projects that the Litecoin Foundation will be working on. So yeah. Okay, so let me see. Oh yes, so just one announcement. Because of the pandemic last year, we haven't been able to have physical classes, and we've been running crypto classes since 2018. I know we've been talking about it since 2017, and we have run quite a few classes, and we are looking to run more crypto classes. So if you are interested in attending, just just put in the section in the comment section, just say class, right? And someone will get in touch. So we will be talking. If you're considering looking into crypto as an investment, for as part of your portfolio, I highly recommend that you educate yourself before buying anything, right? But obviously, this is not financial advice. Anything that we discussed tonight is not financial advice. It is for educational and informational purposes only. I'm only here to share, the research that I've done. Okay, so without further ado, I think let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Now, don't forget, tag your friends, right? Tag your family if they might be interested in the topic tonight, right? Even if they're not and you want to get them interested, so just tag them. Alrighty, now let me just share my screen. And I'm going to share a Chrome tab, and it's going to be this one. Pretty sure it's this one. Yep. Okay. Let me know if you can see it. All right. Is it coming on? Let me know if you can see my screen. It doesn't seem to be coming on. Hang on. Let me just work this out. There you go. Okay. Yep, worked it out. Cool. Okay. Okay, just put that in the presentation mode. Okay, so tonight we're gonna talk about NFTs. Now, NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. But what are non-fungible tokens? Well, tonight we'll find out. So, okay, as I mentioned before, thank you, Alex, for confirming. Eddie, thanks. Okay, cool. Thank you, Eddie. Okay, so let's talk about non-fungible tokens, right? Let's go to disclaimer. Let me get this out of the way. I am not a financial advisor, so everything that's presented tonight is not financial advice. So don't take this as financial advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you are gonna, make any investment decisions, please consult with a professional and licensed professional advisor, a consultant. Okay, so let's move on. Now, has anyone? Okay, let me know if you can hear this. I don't know if you can actually hear it though, but all right. So basically, this goes on for like 3 minutes. So I'm not going to play all 3 minutes. So I'm going to move on. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Now that's known as the Nyan cat or Nyan cat, right? And it's basically a GIF or an animation with some music, right? And it goes on for like more than 3 minutes. So how much will you pay for a Nyan cat? Anyone? Well, let me know in the comment section below, right? I'll tell you how much has been paid for it. Okay. In 2021, which is this year, the Nyan cat sold for $600,000 or around 600,000. Yeah. So that's how much it was sold for. It's a little bit it's crazy, right? Like you're like, what? You paid that much for it? So Chris Torres, right? He created this quirky flying space cat, right? With a Pop-Tart for a body, and he released it on YouTube in 2011. So to celebrate the viral GIF 10th anniversary, what he did was he did a one-of-a-kind remastered version that essentially sold for 300 ether on the there's a crypto art platform called Foundation. So this was sold for 300 ether. And at that point in time, when whatever the price of Ethereum or Ether was, worked out to roughly 600,000. Yep. Yes. So all you budding new artists, digital artists out there, this is a great time, if any time, to be a digital artist. Okay. Let's go through some history, okay? Now, the first NFT on Ethereum, so Ethereum is the public blockchain, right? Ethereum is called Cryptopunks, and that was created in 2017, right? And essentially what they did was they created all these like punk hits, right? They call them Cryptopunks, and they sold, well, actually, no, it wasn't sold, it was actually given away. And what you had to do was you just had to claim it. So there were 10,000 of these Cryptopunks that were created and claimed, and within 2 days, all 10,000 were claimed, right? And now, you know, obviously these NFTs are being traded and they're being sold and bought. So the lowest price punk right now is for sale for 20.2 ETH. Or roughly 32,000 US dollars. Yes, you heard me right, 32,000 US dollars. So I'll just give you some stats, right? So in terms of the bids, the average bid over the last year was 18.53 ETH, which is around 29,000 US dollars. The average currently open bid is 1.81 ETH, which is 2,800-ish US dollars. The total value of all current bids is 1,668 ETH, which is roughly 2.6 million US dollars. Yeah, it's a lot of money, right? So sales, so the average sale price of a punk over the last year is around about 15.29 ETH, which is roughly 24,000 US dollars. And the total value of these punks sold over the last year, the last 12 months, is 115,666.3 ETH, which works out to around $183 million. Yep. And if you on the right, you see all the Cryptopunks, and these are the recent transactions that were bought and sold, right? So yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling, right? Okay, so DT Quay has a question. I'll pop that up and see if I can. Okay, let me put that question up here and see if everyone can see it, right? So hopefully you can talk me through this prior to the NFT. 9cat belongs to, well, it didn't really belong to anyone. There was no NFT. So effectively, it was just an animation that was uploaded onto YouTube 10 years ago. How does the thing identify the owner, or it doesn't have? Yeah, so is why NFT pops now and majority costs millions. 9cat meme we're talking about. Correct me. Okay, so so that's the question there, right? Effectively, prior to that, no one owned it. But then, you know, the creator decided to create an NFT to then sell that, right? So look, stick around, right? Let me go through the rest of the presentation, and I think that will answer your question. And I think if you have any more questions, look, feel free to just pop it in there, right? But effectively, there was no owner, and now there's an owner. Okay, so next, okay, so after the cyberpunks, right? CryptoPunks came the CryptoKitties, right? CryptoKitties was a game that was created that sort of, so you can actually go to cryptokitties.com, right? And effectively this happened in 2017. And what happened was there was so many transactions, so many people that actually were using CryptoKitties on the Ethereum network that it essentially brought the network down, right? It jammed up the network so badly. What it was is really again really interesting. You had all these different types of kitties or cats, right? Some were super rare, some were unique, and some were common. And they were all different types, and they all had different attributes and personalities and styles and all that. And what you can actually do is, if you get two CryptoKitties, you can mate them, and their offspring. So you get a new one, right? Their offspring will have different certain attributes from each of the parent, right? So if you had one that was very speedy, and and you had one that was very furry, and other attributes, right? So that the offspring will have like different attributes from each of the parents. Now, so this went nuts. I still remember in 2017 when it literally brought the Ethereum network to a standstill, right? Okay, so then what happened? What happened after 2017? Then the crypto winter came. Well, so what is crypto winter? So we hit a height, right? Bitcoin hit a height of 20,000 or 19,000 something. So if you can follow me, so this is where Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin was in December 2017, and it kind of just went down and down and down and down and down. And the bottom chart, you can see the so in the red line is total amount of USD, right? And the green line is the average USD, and the blue line is the total quantity. Now you could see that quantity was like really high. That the quantity is in the amount of NFTs traded on the Ethereum blockchain, right? It was really high. Then it kind of dropped, and then it kind of it just hovered around there. But then you can see like it's picked up again, right? Like it's sort of picked up over time. So okay, now back in 2021, what's happened? So obviously Bitcoin is hit all-time highs, and it kept hitting new all-time highs. But then there came the revival of NFTs, right? People is the artist's name, and he's a digital artist, and he recently sold his digital art, which was auctioned at Christie's auction house for $69 million. Now you're thinking, you can't even fathom it, right? $69 million for a JPEG file, right? For a digital a digital file of a picture that contains 5,000 pictures inside. Like, are we nuts? Jack Dorsey, right? Here's another headliner. Jack Dorsey sells his very first tweet for $2.9 million. So you're thinking, look, this sounds like a bubble, right? You guys are nuts. Who the hell is paying so much money, right? Who's actually paying this much money for a JPEG? Okay, so let's move on, right? Let's see what else has happened. I guess the other one that we did not put in there. So those of you who are old enough, you probably know of a group called Kings of Leon. Kings of Leon recently sold their new album as an NFT, right? Through an NFT, and they made that sale through an NFT. So what is an NFT, and how do you actually so what is an NFT? Let's go through, right? Let's go through what an NFT is. So NFT stands for non-fungible token, right? Fungibility. So what is a fungible token then? What is fungible? So the strict definition, or the actual definition for it is fungibility is the ability of an asset to be exchanged or substituted with a similar asset of the same value. So, for example, if I had a 10 ringgit note and I had another 10 ringgit note, it didn't matter which 10 ringgit note that I would use to pay someone. It's interchangeable. That's fungibility. So that's something that's fungible. So Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, right? All these, Monero, these are all fungible tokens. Now, then what are non-fungible tokens? So non-fungible tokens are effectively unique tokens, right? That cannot be interchanged, right? So one does not equal the other, right? That's what a non-fungible token means. Okay, so so non-fungible, right? So fungibility is the ability for an asset, as I mentioned, to be exchanged or substituted, right? So there's only one, or it's unique. So if you think about it, right, the Mona Lisa, right? So that's a whole bunch of people taking picture of the Mona Lisa. There can only be one Mona Lisa, right? So but there can be many pictures of it that's taken, and some people might even go home and print it out, and then they might even put a frame around it, right? And that's the Mona Lisa. But there really is only one Mona Lisa, right? So see how in the like the photo. So the photo is on the smartphone when you take that photo. So that's fungible, right? Because you can then send a copy of the photo that you took of the original Mona Lisa and WhatsApp it to your groups, right? And to your 10,000 friends, or you can post it up on social media, right? So that's fungible, right? Because one or the other is exactly the same. Non-fungible, there's only one piece of the painting. So here's a couple more examples, right? So there's an ex-hedge fund guy named Martin Scarelli. He bought a $2 million Wu-Tang Clan album, and that was seized by the federal court, right? But what's interesting is that one man's treasure is another man's trash, right? Because his lawyer says that described that album as probably worthless. But there was only one copy of that of the album that was that he had, right? So and that's that album cover on the right, and that's yeah. Okay. Now let's talk. Now let's try to sort of dive a bit deeper to try and understand what NFTs are. So if you think about this, right? So the world's 21st biggest company or largest company is LVMH, right? And they own the brand Louis Vuitton. All right. Now, all you ladies who are watching right now, well, I don't. To be honest, I don't know if it's still in fashion, but I know all the ladies like their Louis Vuitton handbags and all that, right? Now, so let's go through how much it would cost to make a handbag, right? To make a designer handbag. So based on what we found, it costs say around $80, right? $80, and then it gets retailed for about $1,000, right? So that's about a 12x from the cost of making it, right? Now, to try to understand NFTs is like this, right? So all you ladies out there, now you know that the Louis Vuitton handbag, it's beautiful, right? It represents something, right? But you have to pay a lot of money for that. And then you've got a bag that looks exactly the same, right? Which is a counterfeit product. It feels exactly the same. You probably, to the untrained eye, you probably cannot tell the difference. And if you had the money, I guess that's kind of a personal thing. Would you buy the original, or would you buy? I mean, if you had the money to buy it without it making any financial impact on you, would you buy the original, or would you buy the counterfeit Louis Vuitton bag? Right. So some of you who say that, well, even though they look the same, they feel the same. I still prefer to buy the original because I know that it's the original, and there's that feeling that I get from walking around with an original Louis Vuitton bag, right? And then you might have part of the crowd saying, well, you know what? I'll just get the other one, right? It's cheaper. So, but what would compel us to buy and own an original, even though they look exactly the same, quality is probably around the same, right? Why would you fork out a lot more cash for the original? Think about that. Look, same goes for so that was the ladies example. Now let's talk about men, right? Actually, well, ladies also like watches, but anyway, if you were to buy a Rolex, for example, right? So this was taken from a Forbes article, right? So effectively, the cost to manufacture a watch, right, would come up to say about $500, and then it gets sold for $4,000 to $5,000. So it's around a 10x the cost, right? It gets sold at 10x the cost. So for example, you could buy a Rolex Daytona for I don't know what the price is, 120 to 150,000, right? Ringgit, and you could buy a fake one for maybe 2,000 to 3,000 ringgit. Again, they would look so similar, identical. And again, like, would you buy the fake one? Would you buy the real one? What would compel you to buy the real one, and why? Since they, like, to the untrained eye, it looks exactly the same, and no one would be able to tell the difference. So those of you who said yes, I would buy the real one, I'd like to hear, share with us why you would buy the real one as compared to why you would not buy the fake one, right? Is it because you know that it's the real one, or when the other enthusiasts whom you hang out with know that that's the real one, or that you think it's going to retain its value because it's the original one, and you think that it may go up in value because you're holding on because you have the original one? So what is it, right? Put it in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, so now, so how are NFTs being used today, right? So let's have a look. So effectively, art is well positioned for that, right? If you think about it, most of the art today is created digitally, right? You do it on a phone, you do it on your iPad, you do it on a computer, and digital art sales becomes that natural transition, right? NFTs basically helps you secure and prove ownership. It verifies ownership. So effectively, as long as you hold on to the NFT, the non-fungible token, in your digital wallet, then you can prove that you have ownership of the art piece, right? So just some of the things about the NFT technology. It's if it's unique, if it is traceable, it's rare, it is indivisible, programmable, and you can program NFTs. You can also program NFTs to sort of where the creator gets a royalty fee every time it gets transacted, right? So that's kind of cool. So David Gordon, hey David. So he says the reason he would get the original over the knockoff is because of the resale value. So in some way, that, okay, so if I buy a Rolex, it's going to retain its value, right? It's going to have that a store of value becomes a store of value. It'll retain the value. Okay, so that's why you would do it, right? So we've got yeah. So we're not talking about Bitcoin tonight. Tonight we're talking about NFTs. Yeah. So tonight we're talking about NFTs. Okay. So now if you think about it, right, in terms of digital art, on Instagram, if you like, so there's a post here on Twitter, right, which talks about that. If you think that art is free, well, effectively it's not, right? You could be doing all this digital art and you are uploading them onto your Insta account, But effectively, what it does is that it drives viewership. It drives ads, right? Which the creator doesn't get paid for it, but Insta gets paid for it. Well, effectively, then it's Facebook that gets paid for it. So, but NFTs actually allow the creator, the original creator, to now have that direct connection between the artist and the collector, the person who purchases it. All right. Okay. So now, okay. So those of you now, how many of you out there actually follow basketball, the NBA? If you do, there is a website called NBATopShots.com. So these are digital collectibles, right? And so NBA has worked with this company to actually sell moments within like basketball games, right? And they have it's effectively a video capturing the moment where something happens, and they've got limited editions, right? For example, this one's only got 2 listings. Steph Curry only 2 listings, and they go for around $250,000, right? A Formula One car, which is an NFT, which is digital art, that's $48,000, right? So these are collectibles. Yep. Okay, so I will move on. Yep. Okay, so now how many of you out there used to play Pokemon Go, or even watched it, or even collect the Pokemon Pokemon cards? Actually, I've got some here, right? These are like my son's collection, so he collects like Pokemon cards, right? So yeah, he organizes them real well. Now, do you know that so these are collectibles, right? So people within a community, they collect these cards, or like if I'm a collector of watches, I would collect all these like, for example, Rolexes and the Seikos and all these Swiss watches, right? That's because within that community it's worth a great deal. So like within the Pokemon community, these Pokemon cards, they're worth a great deal, right? And obviously, when we were, me and my wife were buying these Pokemon cards for my son, we, you could buy the original, which was pretty expensive, or you could buy the knockoff ones, right? And you get like a whole box of them, and and yeah, so there are these choices that you can make, right? But ultimately, like what David Gordon had said, as in, why would you buy the original as compared to a much cheaper one? Well, for him, is resale value, right? Which means that NFT would retain its value, that token would retain the value. Well, right. I mean, in the physical world, you've got the Louis Vuitton bags or the Hermes bag, or you have the or you have your your Rolexes and your Patek Philips, right? It's because there's the perceived value, or there is that value, right? That it will retain retain its value. Okay. So, okay, so the advantage of digital versus traditional collectibles. Well, so this is the world's most expensive baseball card. This is a physical baseball card. You can see on the right, and this was released in 1952. Right, it was sold January 14 this year, in the beginning of this year, for $5.2 million. Yes, folks, $5.2 million. Right, and like it's guys like traditional guys like Mark Cuban, and for those of you who know like Gary Vee, they're coming into this space, and they're coming in pretty hard, right? For years, Mark Cuban had dismissed crypto. They had dismissed the blockchain, like it was all BS to him, right? And then now all of a sudden he sees it, because he understands collectibles, and he sees it as a digital collectible. He says, so I'll just read a quote from it, right? He says, well, guess what? I can get the same picture of any traditional physical card on the internet and print it out, and that doesn't change the value of the card, right? So obviously, like this card here, right? You can literally just do a screenshot, go print it out. You can even mint it, put it in like in a protective case. That's still not the original, right? It is still not the original. So effectively, it's about ownership. And what you can do, and what NFTs effectively are, is that so these are it's on a public blockchain of which something is minted on, and you can verify that you have a token of that, and it is publicly verifiable anywhere around the world that you have the original, you have ownership of that, and that is essentially what's happening right now. Okay, so for example, there's another company whom we've been in touch with, Terra Virtua. In fact, if you look at the photo on the right, that's Doug Dyers. He was actually in our office, in our old office, in fact, and with some of the members, and they were trying on the 3D goggles, and effectively, so what they're doing, right? They're also in this NFT game, right? They're minting these NFT digital collectibles that's within this 3D space that you pay for, you own, right? So you effectively own these. It can be a special made gun, or it can be one of a kind, a sword, right? And then you go into this virtual world. For those of you who have watched Ready Player One, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Okay, then think about this, right? There's digital real estate. For those of you with kids, I don't know if you've, or maybe yourselves, right? If you played Roblox before, in this Roblox virtual world, you can build stuff, but you need Robux, right? You need this virtual money to buy stuff and all that. And eventually, whatever it is that you buy belongs to you, right? So now you can buy pieces of land, digital land, in areas like Decentraland. There's another, I think there's another one that will show. But yeah, but personally, I've checked out Decentraland. So you can buy these plots of digital land, and you can build whatever buildings you want in there. And what I know that has happened so far is that you've had you can and I've seen this before, right? So this you buy a plot of land, you build an art gallery, and then this art gallery, you display the digital art that you've purchased, right? So this NFT art that you've purchased, and you can display that to sort of like show it off, right? Or that's the virtual world. That's the art gallery of your collection of digital art that you've purchased, right? So it's pretty pretty cool. So now Grayscale, Grayscale is the company that there's a Grayscale trust where they have with the famous GBTC, where institutional investors who try to get into Bitcoin, they purchase art. They purchase the GBTC shares, right? Because each share will represent X amount of Bitcoin. So they have recently launched a trust for Mana. Now, Mana is the digital asset token that's used to pay for goods and services in Decentraland. All right, for those of you who are interested, you can check out decentraland.org. So Grayscale has launched a trust, and I'll just read this quote from Janine Yorio, right? She's the head of Republic Realm Real Estate NFT Fund. So Janine says, although stores sit empty, people are still buying things. In the never-ending search for customers, real-world companies have followed shoppers online. Their next stop is the Metaverse, where their customers are socializing and window shopping, and now even buying real-world items, right? So that's essentially what's happening right now. Okay, I think there's some comments. So DT Quay says, Mark Cuban's article clear majority of my doubts. Let's hunt for the next top NFT assets. Sooner or later, they stream and tie the gameplay with NFTs. Yeah. So effectively, so Mark Cuban, right? Someone for years and years and years have just said that crypto is bullshit. Oops, sorry, I meant BS. And now he sees it, right? So now he understands it, because when you relate it to his frame of mind, it's like, oh, okay, it's just a collectible. It's just like collecting Pokemon cards or collecting baseball cards, which is really popular in America. It's a digital collectible. So now he gets it, right? It's that ownership of something. Okay, so the digital second life, right? An unstoppable trend. So an increasing number of or percentage of our lives are being spent in the digital world, right? In front of our, whether it's a phone, in front of our screens, basically screen, or your laptop or your computer. Um, uh, yeah, instead of in real world settings. I mean, look, especially since the pandemic happened, right, and the lockdown started happening across the world, we've been spending, if you look at this chart on the right, about 8 hours, right? We've been spending about 8 hours a day in front of our screens, right? So daily hours spent with digital media per adult user, right? And it's jumped up significantly last year because everyone was in the lockdown. What else could we do? Well, our only form of going to the outside world was through the internet, right? So we like, it jumped in terms of the number of hours that we've spent on in front of our screens. Now, Microsoft, right, has been in talks with Discord over a $10 billion plus acquisition. So obviously, all these gamers, they go on a platform called Discord to chat about games, right? But now it's been used for more than that. But effectively, Microsoft knows where that attention is. So as you all know, Microsoft, they have the Microsoft gaming platform, right? So Microsoft is big on this. Okay. Okay, so yeah, obviously COVID-19 has accelerated the rise of the metaverse. You got the Roblox, Horizon, Fortnite, right? These are all now. In December last year, I actually did one of these future-proof. I did a future-proof episode where we talked about gaming, right? And as you know, the evolution of gaming, right, it's been evolving to a point where gaming is a social experience. You would set a time with your friends. Hey, all right, tonight let's go on Fortnite, right? All right, okay, we'll set our clocks. We'll meet there at 8 o'clock, and we'll all jump in at the same time. And then you get to talk to each other while you're playing that game, right? So it's evolved to a social experience, right? Gaming. Now, what about digital fashion, right? So, people want to look good in the physical world, but when you go on and you get your avatar, or you get your whatever it is that represents who you are, you want to look good, right? You want to look good in these digital worlds too, right? And so you can sell these virtual goods or virtual clothes, right? So they're estimated to be about a $50 billion a year market, right? And in 2018, Epic Games reported that 60% of all in-game purchases for Fortnite were purely for skins, right? Cosmetic skins. So, it's a nice dress, or, it's a pair of shorts, right? Digital X aims to be a marketplace for cross-world fashion. So Digital X is this company that's trying to sort of because if you go into Fortnite, whatever you buy in Fortnite only stays in that game, right? Now, if you move on to say Roblox or another game, whatever you buy only stays within that sort of environment. Now imagine if you could buy something and you could wear the same thing in every single game that you jump in. Now that would be cool, right? Okay, so this is kind of how they've sort of they see it happening, right? So you got different layers. The layer one is up here, where the artists, the creators, the fashion designers, they come up with all these designer clothes, designer brands, and the fashion houses where they design, right, all these clothing for you. And then layer two is where they you get this marketplace where you can go shopping, right? So you can go and as technology evolves, you could probably just put on like your AR glasses or your VR glasses, goggles, and you can immerse yourself in this 3D virtual world, and you can go shopping. You literally go shopping and you buy this and you buy that. Right? You buy all these designer clothes that have been designed by these big brands. And then the third layer will be the different brand gaming platforms, right? You've got EA, you've got Blizzard, you have all these different platform of games, but you can now wear these designer clothes across any of these games, right? So that's kind of where it could happen. Okay, it can evolve too, right? So Alex says he thinks it's going to be cool. There's future. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty cool too. I mean, if you can do that. I mean, look, if you have not watched Ready Player One, go watch it. Like, it's pretty futuristic. It's pretty cool. It's kind of scary as well, but it's a good movie to watch. Okay, so then you've got, right, so digital versus reality versus virtual reality. So these are pictures of basically an art gallery. So you're in this game, right? And so you buy these digital art, and then you go hang your digital art and you display them in these art galleries. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, instead of flying to the Netherlands and visiting the Rembrandt museum and checking out some of his works of art, I can just put on my VR goggles and then do virtually the same thing, right? And but of course that you get all these up and coming digital artists. So just like the person who purchased the $69 million art from People, he can hang and display his art proudly on Decentraland in one of the art galleries, digital art galleries, and you can go there and admire the art, right? So it's pretty interesting. Okay, so then you've got these NFT marketplaces, right? Right now you've got the guys like you've got OpenSea, you have Rarible, you have all these different marketplaces. So according to Time Magazine, right, Super Rare, OpenSea, and Marketplace typically pockets 10 to 15% of initial sales, right? So that's their commission, right? That's comparable to what Sotheby's and Christie's charge at their auctions. So now you've got these digital versions of these auction houses, and it's selling digital versions of what they sell physically, right? So how NFTs could remove rent-seeking intermediaries for creators? I guess I'll just read the snippet, right? And this was from A16Z, which is okay. So John's got an interesting thing. He says I can start hosting Future Proof in Decentraland. Actually, I've seen that done before, right? So on Decentraland, you can have this big screen, and people go into Decentraland, and you're literally live streaming there, and you can see other people standing next to you, and they're watching this big screen with that's being live streamed. So yeah, it can be done. Okay, so the logic of blockchains is once you purchase an NFT, it is yours to fully control. Just like when you buy books or sneakers in the real world. There are and will continue to be NFT platforms and marketplaces, but they will be constrained in what they can charge because blockchain-based ownership shifts the power back to creators and the users or the collectors. You can shop around and force the marketplace to earn its fees. So A16Z is Andreessen Horowitz. So Mark Andreessen was the guy who founder of Netscape. So he's an early investor, and he's a VC, right? So we think because NFTs are still at an early stage, exchanges stand to gain as they make it easy for NFT fans to purchase assets and for creators to sell art, right? Via, say, Coinbase or Binance or whatever. But creators do not need to rely on the marketplace to sell or handle the NFT transactions. They could do it on a peer-to-peer basis. So, for example, if I purchased some NFT and I've stored it on my phone, right? I have the token on my phone. I can easily send that to someone else halfway across the world, or someone right next to me. I can send that collectible or that NFT over to them. So Yeah, so you can actually do peer-to-peer transfers, and you don't need that third party or that trusted third party to assist with that transaction. Okay. Hey, how about some toilet paper NFTs? Right, costs only about $1,400, right? Um, so Charmin is this really famous America's most famous toilet paper brand, right? Um, and so you got these big companies who are now coming into the space because they see this as an opportunity to engage with their audience, right? So they literally can engage directly, and yeah. So look, they're selling the NFT for 0.91 ETH, right? So that's about $1,400. So that's okay. So what does all this mean for investors? I mean, you're all here on future proof because you're trying to future proof yourself, your investments, and you're thinking, well, okay, so what can I do with NFTs? Like, what's it? What can I do? Um, so if you look at the volumes of NFTs now, remember I talked about CryptoKitties. So that was the height, right? Like that was insane volume of transactions of CryptoKitties. Now, right, that's in January 2018, December 2017. We are right now in 2021, and yes, you can see the blue line is actually volume. So volume hasn't gone that high yet, but the red is the total USD, total amount, and the green is the average USD. So the amount is going through the roof, though. Like the value amount, right, in US dollar terms is going through the roof. But if you look at the volume, it's actually not. It didn't. It's not enough to bring down the network yet, like it did back in 2017, right? So Gary V says, right, uh, 97% of NFTs are a bad investment, right? And he likens it to another .com boom. So while Gary Vee plans to launch his own NFTs, he argues that most NFT assets won't be good long-term bets. Gary compares the current NFT boom to the early bubble in tech stocks. As one of the top digital internet marketeers of our generation, Gary has some credibility in this area. Um, Merely digitalizing art or collectibles does not make them valuable. Instead, communities like NBA and social currency like the Ferrari or like the Louis Vuittons will drive intangible value over time. So that's what Gary Vee says. So let's talk about the risks of investing in NFTs if that's what you decide to do, right? So these are early stage bets with potentially high upside, but also potentially like crash and burn kind of downside, right? There's a quote here from Eva Balin from the Graph Foundation director. So she says NFTs are angel investing in culture, right? Um, the technology and the industry it's still yet to mature, right? So these are some of the risks of investing in NFTs. So here's a Vice article about hackers stole thousands of dollars worth of NFTs from collectors. So how did they do that? So they took over multiple accounts on the digital art marketplace Nifty Gateway, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of NFTs. The company says that the users not enabling two-factor is to blame. So look, if you're gonna invest in this NFTs, I guess you better first invest in some education of how to handle these assets, right? Just like when you buy a Rolex or if you buy a very expensive watch, you'd want to handle it with care, right? Like especially like I don't know, I've seen some put gloves on before they open the box. You got to know how to handle your stuff, and obviously you got to know where to store them, right? You might want to have a safe at home, or you put it in a safe within in a safe deposit box in the bank, right? You got to invest in yourself, in educating yourself, so that you are able to handle your assets, your digital assets, right? So, for example, if you have a very old computer where you do not have, you don't have antivirus or anti malware, or had it and you had not renewed it, it's not the latest patch, just be careful, right? You gotta know what you're doing. So Beeple and NFTs, Beeple and NBA, right? They have struck it rich in NFTs, right? So if you look at the so crypto collectibles rankings by sales volume, the NBA Top Shot that I talked about earlier, they've done about 440 million in sales. That's huge. It's $440 million in sales, right? Obviously, Beeple's this headline says Beeple's latest crypto art just sold for 6 million to the same tech executive who was outbid at the last minute for the record-breaking $69 million auction, right? So Beeple is this digital artist, and he's raking in the money, right? Like his art is really cool. Most of his art is crypto related. And they say a picture paints 1,000 words. So if you're unsure, go on Insta and Google for Beeple. Search for Beeple. You'll see his art is pretty cool. Okay. This was a stunt that was done. I don't know how many of you caught it. You guys know Banksy, right? So Banksy's no one knows who he is, but Banksy's artwork, right, was bought. Right, they bought it at a Christie's auction, and then what they did was they took a picture of it, they NFT'd it, and then they burnt the original artwork, the original art piece. They burnt it, and then they sold it for 3 times more. They sold it, or 4 times more. They sold it for 382,000. But they had originally bought the physical one for about $95,000, and then they lit. I mean, if you wanted to make a statement, that was how you'd make a statement, right? And then that sold for like $382,000. So that was pretty cool. If you're not sure, go Google it, right? Now, so who else has been making money from NFTs so far, right? So if you think about this, right? Like this game Roblox, where you can build stuff and all that. NFT real estate is actually worth money, right? So you've got Decentraland and you've got the other one called The Sandbox, right? They provide tools for creators to build new assets and games within the metaverse. So this is a map. This is a map from Sandbox, and you can see like these are plots of land where companies have actually bought land on this space. Like the really big one here. I don't know if you can see. This is Atari. Right? That's Atari. And you've got all these different plots of land that's been bought, right? So just like physical real estate, digital real estate is actually worth money, right? And each plot of land is represented by an NFT. So if you hold that NFT, you own that plot of digital land, right? Now, to us, this might seem really strange, but if you really think about it, the new generation, right? Kids who are growing up today, they live in the metaverse. They live on the internet. They never knew what life. They live a digital life, right? They don't know what life was before internet, right? There's no such thing as, what do you mean before internet? Like internet is like running tap water, right? It's like switching on the lights, isn't it? So to this generation of kids who are growing up, digital ownership is real, right? Like when you buy a gun on whatever game that it is you're playing, and that's yours, like that is real. Okay, so what NFTs have enabled is that they have enabled digital ownership that is verifiable across the world through the blockchain, right? Okay, so who else has been making money? So they say that like in a gold rush, the people who make the most money are those who sell you the pickaxes and the pans, right? So there are some companies. So you've got Dapper and you've got Engine. They are effectively selling you the tools to create these environments, right? Okay, so here's a bit of FUD. FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's been going around social media. A lot of environmentalists have complained and said, "Hey, all this NFTs and all this crypto thing, it's global warming, it's gonna kill the earth and we're all gonna die. I think that's a little bit too far-fetched, right? It's in fact, it's probably the opposite, because if you obviously they're referring to the proof of work, right? Which is what's known as mining. Where they said, you're using up more electricity than a small country and this and that. Well, if you look at how the energy that's being used, they can actually harness the use of renewable energy. So in fact, it is not as bad as one thinks that it is, right? So Kelsey Nabin, right, a researcher at the RMIT University Blockchain Innovation Hub, said criticisms of NFTs for their contribution to climate change was a red herring, right? So effectively, they're making a big deal, and they don't have all the facts. So it's actually very interesting to watch the back and forth, right, between the environmentalists who have yet to be educated and the crypto people, right? Because I also see environmentalists who jump in and they're on the crypto side because they actually understand what's going on. They're like, hey, no, like that, like you're wrong, right? Just because you don't have all the facts. So so the game has effectively just started, right? If you think about it, there's a website called OpenSea, OpenSea.io. Effectively, what they're essentially the eBay for NFTs, right? So A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, the VC, they've invested in OpenSea as part of a bet, right, on NFTs in the crypto space. So you can see the from December and where we are now, you can see their daily volumes have surged 100x in the last 6 months, right? It's insane the amount of transactions that are going through OpenSea. So essentially what they do is they connect, right, all the other NFT platforms, and that's and the marketplace is OpenSea. You'd go there to buy and sell or trade different NFTs. Now, there was one episode where I invited Unstoppable Domains founder Brett Camp to come on. That's also an NFT. So what is Unstoppable Domains? You can get a, I don't know, like andrewvong.crypto domain name, right? And I get to keep that domain name because that's an NFT. And as long as I have that token, then it belongs to me. Then you would need a dApp browser, right, or Web 3.0 browser that can then actually read that domain name, and it'll know where to sort of direct me to. So yeah, so this is these are things that are essentially happening, right? I think we're close to the end. So look, where are we at today? Look, NFTs are still very early. It will continue to evolve. People will find newer use cases for them besides just owning art and owning digital land, or owning what else, avatars or nice clothes, right? But this space is going to evolve. So then we try to figure out, so what problem does this technology solve? What problem does the NFT solve? So effectively, what NFTs have solved is the ability to verify ownership of something anywhere around the world through a common system, which is the blockchain. So think about it. One day, maybe your university degree, right, is verifiable through a public blockchain. So in future, the HR manager, the hiring HR manager, will ask for a copy of the QR code of your a copy of your degree, which will probably have a QR code there, right? The HR manager probably just needs to just scan that QR code, and it will then check on the blockchain to verify that this is the real deal, right? Because there are a lot of fake degrees that's being sold out there on the internet, for example, right? I still remember in Australia that there was this the guy was the CTO of a very large publicly traded company, publicly listed company, and it turned out that he wasn't a doctorate, he didn't have a PhD after all, and he was a fraud, right? So this was huge, and it was a really big misstep on the HR portion. because they didn't do their due diligence to actually ensure that that their CTO actually had the PhD that he claimed to have. So one day, right, the application, like some of the applications that I can think from NFTs are the ability to verify this no matter where you are. So I can be from the University of Timbuktu and I've got a PhD in cryptology, right, or cryptocurrencies, and the HR manager would say, hey, okay, well, show me your degrees or send me a copy of it. I'll send a copy. All right, there's the QR code there. I'll scan it. It checks against the blockchain. Yep, okay, it verified that this is a genuine a degree from the University of Timbuktu, right? The other things that I see NFTs solving, right now we have so many issues of stolen usernames and passwords and all that. It's probably the most secure form of logging in onto a site. Look, if you have the NFT, you can just verify that against the blockchain, a public blockchain. Oh, yes, okay, this is a genuine token. You're in. If it's not genuine, you're never going to get in, right? So we're still so early, right? Right now, we're just talking about digital art. But digital art is one form, right? And I mentioned about the Kings of Leon who actually sold their album as an NFT, right? So there are more to come. There will be more creative minds waking up to this and coming up with more creative solutions to problems that were there and they couldn't solve, and they would probably solve that with NFTs. So I think the technology is here to stay. It's right now it's up to us, right? And it's still so early, right? It's still so early. So why this could still be so early? Well, okay, so in the art market, right, transition from physical to digital as digital markets is still very early. So art is a $67 billion a year industry, right, according to UBS. NFT art all-time transactions right now are only at 142 million. So from 142 million, right, to 67 billion, I mean that's still a way to go. So art, it solves that problem. It's still very, very early. Then you look at the so this one is taken from Credit Suisse. They estimate the value of total collectibles owned by private individuals at around $1.2 trillion. $1.2 trillion. That's a lot of money. So right now, all the NFT collectible sales, they've only amounted to 265 million. So you see that gap, like it's so huge, right? Obviously, so the collectibles would, the average ultra high net worth individual asset allocation, collectibles is about 5%, right? And then you've got the other collectibles. I think they mentioned about you've got watches, you've got jewelry, you have luxury handbags. So these are some of the collectibles for the ultra high net worth individuals. I think so we're at the end of the presentation. So two questions. One, do you invest in any collectibles, whether it's in the physical world or you have some NFTs? And the second question is, will you decide to invest in any NFTs? So put in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you do. Alex has an interesting one. He says, future asset collection, 1 to 3% crypto, 5% NFT. Nice. Maya Smith shared an interesting link. Apparently, these are digital sneakers, right? NFTs. Yeah, look, you can definitely watch this. So Thomas is less likely. Okay. Perhaps not art, right? It may be other things. Who knows? Okay. All right. Hey, if you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, my handle is Andrew C. Vong. So feel free to follow me on Twitter. And if you haven't followed our EquitiesTracker on Facebook yet, please feel free to follow us, right? So DT Quay says, yes, to invest in real world collectibles, but crypto portfolio not strong enough to invest in NFTs. Okay, interesting. So TT do you invest in? Is it watches? Like what sort of collectibles do you invest in? Pokemon cards? Because I see some people who have recently sold like some very rare Pokemon cards for like $100,000 US, right? And it's so you see collectibles. It is you hear of these like classic cars, for example. They're really old, right? But you hear them appreciating in value because these are collectibles. Like this is something that you want to buy and keep because it means something to you, represents something to you, right? There is value, and there's usually a value within a specific community. Like for example, I've got a friend who's restoring a Honda NSX. Right, it was the first Japanese supercar, say 80s or 90s, right? And he keeps and he's helping like the owner restore that car. So that's a collectible, and the price has actually gone up over the years, right? It depreciated, then it kind of went back up. So yeah. So DD Quiz, statues and figurines. Yes, these are collectibles. Interesting. Yes, DT Quay must have a lot of money. All right, guys. Look, it's 9/11. It's the end of it. I hope I was able to help you understand what NFTs are and what's actually happening around the world right now. This topic is really hot within the crypto metaverse. Everyone's talking about it. I hope I help you make sense of this all, right? Look, feel free to leave comments in the section below, and I will. I'm happy to answer them. Xiaoming says, yeah, so on the EK2. My favorite's actually the EG6. I think it's called the EG6. Yeah. Alexander. Okay. Other than Roblox, these companies that mentioned the slides are all private, right? Yes. Yeah. Well, some of the like engine, you can actually purchase the engine coin, right? The token, engine token, for example, or wax. You can purchase the wax token, but that doesn't give you ownership, or it doesn't give you a share in the company's equity, right? You just purchase their coin. So yeah, that's that's what's available, right? Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope I was able to help you understand a little bit better on what's happening in the crypto metaverse, and what NFTs are, what they can be used for, what they're currently being used for. It is still very early days, so watch this space. I think it's very exciting. Guys like Mark Cuban, who despised crypto for a long time, he's all in on crypto, on NFTs right now, right? And he thinks that Ethereum is gonna do really well. So I think look, this crypto thing is it's a real paradigm shift from what we're used to. But once you sort of come in with an open mind and you try to understand what is actually happening and what it represents, then I think you begin to get it. And when you get it, once you see it, you cannot unsee it, right? So thank you for tuning in. Have a nice evening, and stay safe, everyone. Bye bye. I'm still talking, all right.